Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! When my best friend decided to get married in Hawaii, as her maid of honor, I couldn't miss it for the world. I've been saving up for months, working extra shifts at the coffee shop and even picking up some freelance graphic design gigs on the side. Finally, I had enough for the flight and a week's stay on the island. I am not exactly rolling in cash, being a recent college graduate with student loans to pay off, but I always make sure to book my flights directly and choose my seats in advance. I hate leaving things to chance, especially when it comes to travel. So I booked my flight, picked my aisle seat, and was all set for my first trip to Hawaii. The day of the flight arrived and I got to the airport early, excited for my tropical adventure. That's when things started to go sideways. As I was waiting at the gate, an announcement came over the speakers. Attention passengers on Flight 302 to Honolulu. Due to a medical emergency on an earlier flight, we've had to accommodate displaced passengers on this flight. Some of you may be placed on standby. Please wait for your name to be called. I couldn't believe it. I planned everything so carefully, and now I might not even make it to the wedding? I waited anxiously as they called name after name. Finally, just as I was losing hope, Emily Johnson, please approach the desk. I practically ran to the counter, relief washing over me. We've managed to fit you on the flight, but we had to reassign your seat. You'll be in 14B, a middle seat. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I was just grateful to be on a plane, so I didn't mind. I boarded and made my way to my row. That's when I met them, a couple who would make the next 5 hours of my life a living hell. The man was sitting in the aisle seat chatting with a woman by the window. They were sharing some fancy-looking snacks and seemed pretty cozy. I cleared my throat to get their attention. Excuse me, I'm in the middle seat. The man looked up and smiled, standing to let me in. He seemed nice enough. I say, I noticed you two are together. Would you prefer to sit next to each other? I'm happy to switch if you'd like. I thought I was being polite, but apparently the woman didn't see it that way. You're not supposed to be sitting here anyway. Her tone was so nasty, it caught me off guard. I'm sorry, there was a situation with the earlier flight. I can show you my ticket if you'd like. I pulled out my phone to show her, but she just waved her hand dismissively. Whatever. I tried one more time to be nice. Are you sure you don't want to sit together? The woman ignored me, but her partner spoke up. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I settled into my seat, trying to make the best of the situation. The man struck up a conversation. Looks like it's a full flight today, huh? Yeah, it seems that way. I'm just glad I made it on. I was about to ask him if he was headed to Hawaii for vacation when his partner interrupted. Did you use one of those third-party websites to book your flight? It's so frustrating when people cheap out and inconvenience others. I was shocked by her rudeness, but tried to keep my cool. Actually, I booked directly with the airline. The only reason I got placed on standby was because of the medical emergency on another flight. None of us got to choose our seats. Did you at least pay for seat selection? Yes, I did. At this point, I was done trying to be nice. I put on my headphones and tried to focus on my excitement for the wedding. But this woman wasn't done. For the next 4 hours, she kept reaching across me to tap her partner's arm, trying to talk to him as if I wasn't even there. I could tell even he was getting uncomfortable with her behavior, but she just wouldn't stop. Honey, did you remember to pack the sunscreen? Yes, dear. What about the snorkel gear? It's in a suitcase. Are you sure you packed enough shirts? This went on and on. I tried to ignore it, but it was impossible. I was stuck between them, feeling like an unwanted intruder in their conversation. About halfway through the flight, I needed to use a restroom. I politely asked to be let out. Excuse me, could I please get by? The man started to move, but Karen put her hand on his arm. Why don't you just climb over? It's not like you paid for the convenience of an aisle seat. I was stunned. The man looked embarrassed. Karen, please, let her out. He got up and I squeezed past, my face burning with anger and humiliation. When I returned, Karen was in my seat. I thought I'd give you a taste of the window seat since you're so interested in our seating arrangements. I prefer to sit in my assigned seat, please. Oh, now you care about assigned seats? The man spoke up again. Karen, That's enough. Let her sit down. Grudgingly, she moved back to her seat. I sat down feeling more uncomfortable than ever. As we began our descent into Honolulu, I thought the ordeal was finally coming to an end. But Karen had one last surprise for me. I hope you enjoy your budget vacation. Maybe next time you'll plan better and not disrupt other people's trips. That was it. I'd had enough. Listen, I've been polite this entire flight despite your constant rudeness. I paid for my ticket just like you did. The fact that you think it's okay to treat someone this way because of circumstances beyond their control says a lot more about you than it does about me. I'm going to Hawaii to celebrate my best friend's wedding, and no amount of your negativity is going to ruin that for me. The woman's mouth fell open in shock. Her partner looked at me with what seemed like surprise and respect. He says, "She's right, Karen. You've been out of line this whole flight. I can't believe you're taking her side." I am not taking sides. I'm just saying we should treat people with kindness, regardless of their circumstances. As we got off the plane, the man held Karen back for a moment, letting me get ahead. I could hear him talking to her in a low, serious tone. I didn't stick around to hear what he said, but as I walked through the terminal, I felt much better. I spotted my best friend waiting for me at baggage claim. Lean hand and a big smile on her face. She threw the flower around my neck and pulled me into a hug. I knew that no amount of in-flight drama could dampen the joy of the week ahead. Let me start from the beginning. I'm a 14-year-old kid and my mom's a police sergeant. She's been on the force for over 15 years, and I've always looked up to her. Because of her job, we moved around a lot when I was younger, and it wasn't easy making friends, so I spent most of my time playing games on my phone. This summer, Mom decided we needed a break. She took some time off and we went to visit my grandparents in the countryside. It was nice, I guess. Lots of fresh air, home-cooked meals, and no internet. After 2 weeks, I was ready to get back to civilization and my online friends. We were on a train heading home. Mom was exhausted from the trip and fell asleep as soon as we found our seats. I was sitting across from her, finally able to catch up on all the messages and games I'd missed. That's when I heard it. A whiny voice that made me want to put my headphones on. "Mom, I'm bored. Can I play a game?" I looked up to see a boy, maybe 7 or 8, tugging on his mother's sleeve. She was busy tapping away on her own phone. "Not now, sweetie. Mommy's busy. But I want to play now." The kid kept whining and I tried to focus on my game. But then I felt someone staring at me. I looked up again and the kid was eyeing my phone like it was the last piece of candy on earth. "Mom, look. He has a phone. Can I play on his?" I pretended I didn't hear him and kept playing. But the mom finally looked up from her phone and zeroed in on me. "Excuse me, young man. My son would like to play on your phone." I was shocked. Who asks a stranger to hand over their phone to their kid? Sorry, I am using it." "Oh, come on. You've been on it this whole time. Surely you can share for a bit." "No, I'd rather not. It's my phone." I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. "Listen here, you little brat. My son is bored, and you're being selfish. Hand over the phone now." Her voice was getting louder and people were starting to stare. I looked over at my mom, but she was still fast asleep. I didn't want to wake her up over something so stupid. "Look, I said no. Please, leave me alone." I tried to go back to my game, but suddenly I felt a hand grab my collar. Before I could react, the woman had yanked me forward, her face inches from mine. "You disrespectful little crap. I'll teach you not to say no to an adult." Everything happened so fast. She snatched my phone out of my hands, and before I could even yell, she snapped it in half like it was a twig. The sound of my phone breaking seemed to echo through the whole train car. I was in shock. That really just happened. There. Now nobody gets to play. She threw the pieces of my broken phone onto my lap, looking smug. Her kid started wailing. "Mommy, you broke it. Now I can't play." "Hush, sweetie. This naughty boy learned his lesson." I felt tears welling up in my eyes. That phone had all my photos, my games, my connections to my friends. And this crazy lady just destroyed it because her kid couldn't play on it? "You broke my phone. You can't do that." "I can do whatever I want. You should have shared when I asked nicely. This is what happens when kids don't respect their elders." And that's when I heard a voice that made me feel both relieved and a little scared. What the hell is going on here? My mom was awake, and she looked pissed. She took in the scene, me with tears in my eyes, a broken phone in my lap, the red-faced woman standing over me. Oh good, another adult. Maybe he can teach this brat some manners. He refused to share his phone with my son, so I had to teach him a lesson. I've seen my mom angry before, but never like this. Her face went from confused to furious in about 2 seconds flat. You did what? I broke his phone. He needs to learn to respect adults and share his things. Lady, he just assaulted a minor and destroyed his property. Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in? Trouble? He's the one who… Shut up. I am Sergeant X, who's a city police department. You are under arrest for assault on a minor and destruction of property. The look on Karen's face was priceless. All the color drained away and her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. But I didn't know. He was being selfish. You grabbed my son by the collar and broke his phone. It doesn't matter if you knew I was a cop or not. That's assault and destruction of property. By this point, other passengers were watching the scene unfold. Some had their phones out, probably recording the whole thing. You can't arrest me. We're on a train. Watch me. My mom pulled out her badge and her phone. She called her precinct and explained the situation. Within minutes, she had arranged for officers to meet us at the next station. Karen started to panic. She tried to grab her kid and make a run for it, but my mom blocked her path. Don't even think about it. You're not going anywhere except to jail. This is ridiculous. It was just a phone. I'll buy him a new one. It's not about the phone. It's about you assaulting a child and thinking you can get away with it. The train pulled into the station and sure enough 2 uniformed officers were waiting on the platform. My mom explained the situation and they took Karen into custody. Her kid was crying and I almost felt bad for him. Almost. As they licked Karen away, she was still yelling. This is unfair. I demand to speak to your supervisor. Oh, you'll get to speak to plenty of people down at the station. After Karen was gone, my mom turned to me and gave me a big hug. Are you okay, sweetie? I'm so sorry this happened. I'm okay, Mom. Just shocked, I guess. We'll get you a new phone, don't worry. I am proud of you. We spent the rest of the train ride talking to the police and giving statements. Some of the other passengers came up to us, offering to send their video recordings of the incident. One nice lady even offered to buy me a new phone, but my mom politely declined. When we finally got home, I was exhausted. But as I lay in bed that night, I kept thinking about how differently things might have gone if my mom hadn't been there. I was grateful, but also a little scared. The next day, Mom took me to get a new phone, and as we were setting it up, she turned to me with a serious look. You know, nobody should ever put their hands on you or take your things. I nodded. And hey, if you ever run into someone like that again, you know what to do, right? Call you? Well, yes, but also defend yourself. You did the right thing yesterday. I am proud of you. As we left the store with my new phone, I felt a little better. The world might be full of entitled people, but at least I had a mom who had my back. So here is what happened to me last week. It's still hard to believe, but I guess entitled people are everywhere these days. I'm a construction worker, been at it for about 15 years now, and I'm a big guy, 6 feet tall and 260 pounds. Mostly muscle from all the heavy lifting on a job. Anyway, I just finished a long shift and was heading home. It was Friday and I was looking forward to the weekend. My wife had asked me to pick up some bagels on the way back. She loves this little bakery downtown, says her bagels are the best in the city. So I decided to make a quick stop. I was waiting at a red light about 2 blocks from the bakery. That's when it happened. Out of nowhere, I felt this massive jolt. Someone had rammed into the back of my truck. I got out to check the damage and make sure everyone was okay. That's when I saw her. This old lady in a huge Buick. She must have been in her late 70s or early 80s. Instead of looking concerned or apologetic, she was glaring at me through her windshield. Ma'am, are you alright? I asked her. I called out to her, but she didn't respond. Instead, she started shaking her fist at me like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I couldn't believe it. Ma'am, I think we should exchange insurance information. I am going to call the police to file a report. She finally rolled down her window, but only to yell at me. You young babel, always in such a hurry. You probably slammed on your brakes to make me hit you. Ma'am, I was stopped at a red light. I didn't slam on any brakes. Don't you lie to me, young man. I know what I saw. I decided it was best to stop arguing and just wait for the police. I called them and explained the situation. But while we waited, the old lady kept muttering to herself and glaring at me. About 10 minutes later, two police officers arrived. One of them approached me first. Sir, can you tell me what happened? Officer, I was stopped at this red light when this lady rear-ended me. I have dash cams that recorded the whole thing. The officer nodded and went to talk to the old lady. I could hear her voice raising as she tried to blame me for the accident. The officer came back to me, looking a bit frustrated. Can I see that dashcam footage? I pulled out my phone and showed him the video. It clearly showed me stopped at the light and then a sudden impact from behind. Then it showed me getting out of the car and the old lady shaking her fist at me. The officer couldn't help but chuckle at that last part. Well, that settles it. We will file this as her fault. Don't worry, we'll take care of the paperwork. As he walked back to the old lady's car, I overheard him muttering something. It's a daily thing with these geezers. The whole situation got me thinking about my own dad. He's 83 and still driving. My siblings and I have tried to talk to him about giving up his license, but he won't hear of it. I'll die before I give up my license. That's what he shouted last time we brought it up. He got so angry, it was like we'd insulted him. Personally, I get it though. For him, driving is freedom and independence. But after this incident, I am more worried than ever. The police finished up the report and the old lady was cited for the accident. As they were wrapping things up, she started yelling again. This is ridiculous. I've been driving longer than you've been alive. I demand to speak to your supervisor. Ma'am, the dashcam footage clearly shows you were at fault. Now we can either finish this report here or we can discuss revoking your license at the station. Your choice. That shut her up pretty quick. She grumbled something under her breath but signed the paperwork without further complaint. I finally made it to the bakery, got those bagels my wife wanted, and headed home. My back was killing me from the impact, but I was glad it wasn't worse. When I got home and told my wife what happened, she was furious. All this because some old lady wanted bagels? She could have killed someone. I know, honey. It's got me thinking about Dad too. We need to talk to him again. Maybe if we can all sit down together, he'll listen. I agreed. It wasn't going to be an easy conversation, but after what I've been through, I knew it was necessary. The next day, we called a family meeting. My siblings came over and we sat down with Dad. It was tense at first, but we all shared our concerns. We told him about my accident and how it could have been much worse. And to our surprise, Dad listened. He didn't get angry this time. Instead, he looked sad. I didn't realize how much I was worrying all of you. Maybe it's time to hang up the keys. It was a bittersweet moment. We were relieved, but we could see how hard it was for him to admit it. We spent the rest of the day making plans. We set up a schedule so someone could drive him to his appointments and social events. We looked into grocery delivery services and ride-sharing apps. It wasn't going to be easy, but we were going to make it work. As for the old lady who hit me, I heard through the grapevine that her insurance premiums skyrocketed after the accident. Apparently, it wasn't her first offense. The police had a chat with her family too, and last I heard, she reluctantly agreed to stop driving. It's funny how one incident can change so much. What started as a simple trip for bagels ended up being a wake-up call for our whole family. I'm just glad we were able to address it before anyone got seriously hurt.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.